सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। So in the first chapter of this Upanishad, there are about 8 mantras. Through these 8 mantras, that which has to be understood by the pointers, those pointers have been given. The pointer is definitely something other than that which is being pointed at. They're two different, separate. Pointer is just a means, is a tool, is a method, so that the mind can be elevated to grasp that which is being pointed at. When we drive on the freeways, so you're driving, there is a logic, right? East-west highways are, what number are they on? East-west is even. North-south are odd numbers. Like 35 goes from all the way south all the way to Minneapolis, north. I-10 from California to the other side. So odd and even. So you are going on 35. Just a road trip all the way to Minneapolis. So you're driving. And wherever first time it says on the board while you have started driving, I don't know how many miles it is from here to Minneapolis. Whatever be the distance, it is really a huge distance. The first time that the board shows that it is Minneapolis so many miles, would you stop your journey there? You just get a confirmation that the direction is right. You don't stop the first indicator you find, you don't stop there. The indicator only confirms your direction. Similarly, all the Upanishad pointers that it points towards is that direction. Because technically, to understand that which is pointed at with any vocabulary is almost impossible. It's like when something is too perfect, and any word that you try describing it, only you will know that it is falling short of the description. Like just before coming here, I gave them something to taste and said, "Is it okay?" And the reaction was amazing. They're like, the salt and the spice and maybe this. Maybe. I think it is. I think when something is like, you're trying to express it with words. Words can only take you so far. It can give you a feel of it, but not the experience of it. Upanishad is nothing but words, trying to point towards that sublime, subtlest of the all concepts. So in the very technical language, it is called Shakha Chandra Nyaya. What is the Shakha Chandra Nyaya? After a new moon, after a Amavas, the first day when the moon arrives, a very delicate curve. On a cloudy day, to find it is almost like an impossible task. But if you do find it, it is so pretty. Have you ever seen that kind of a moon? Very rarely we focus on it because it is so lost in the sky that our attention doesn't get there. And one day you stand there, you're watching at it, and it is like so beautiful, pretty that it caught your attention. And your friend passes by, looks around. Hey, kya dekh raha hai? What are you seeing, man? You see the moon. Moon, huh? Where? I don't see it. So you can see it. So for you, it is like a surprise. How can you miss it? For an untrained eye to see it is becoming difficult. So what do? Okay, do you see this tree? Man, I asked you to show the moon. What are you showing me the tree? I said, just go along with me. You see the tree? Yes, I do. Do you see those 3 branches that are coming onto the left side? Yes. The topmost of the branch. Yes. It is branching off into 2 twigs. Yes. Right in between those 2 twigs. Do you see? Oh, yes. So what did you do? You took the prop of the tree and through the branch of that tree pointed towards something which is not anything to look like tree. That Chandra, that moon that you are trying to show, has got nothing to do with the tree. But with the prop of that, you pointed it at that direction. So what do? You go all the way with the tree to its branch, in between that branch, and then leap out into the space to see that moon. Once you see it, can you unsee it? Even if yours never spun around and then dropped. I mean, you may have to find the direction, but then once you find the direction, align yourself, you'll see it right there. You'll never miss it. But to hold on to the branch and to think that I have moon, as foolish as it seems like, similarly, to hold on to the words of the Upanishad and say that I have understood that essence, that which the word is pointing at, is equally stupid, is equally foolish. Because words are nothing but pointers. Have I given enough premise? Because the next logic that this Upanishad is going to spin will topple quite a few heads. So I thought a little premise is required. So the second chapter begins in a very sublime, beautiful way that I would say it. But many of you new readers would look at it and say, wait a second, is this Upanishad or some madman blabbering? Because it seems that disconnected. Anyways, I'll try connecting it. Try repeating after me. Yadi manyase suvedeti dhabhramevapi nunam tvam vetha brahmano rupam. Tvam vetha brahmano rupam yadasya deveshvathanu. What happened? What is it? Yadasya deveshvathanu mimamsyamevate manye viditam. So are you ready for the spin? The curve ball. In India we call it a spin, and here in baseball you call it a curve ball. Both that which beats you. That's what it is. The teacher says, Yadi manyase suveda iti. If you think that by reading the first chapter, you have understood that which is being pointed at, the tattva, the essence. Yadi manyase suveda iti. Then he says, Dabhrameva api nunam tvam vetha brahmano rupam. What you have understood and known is dabhra. Dabhra means very little, meaning you have hardly understood that essence. Did you understand? Be careful as to what you answer now. Because what has been said, Edimanya se suveda iti. If you think that, if you say that you have understood it well, now what does it indicate? My dear fellows, you have understood nothing yet. What you have understood is very little of it. To make this very simple, so that anybody can understand this statement. You go to a restaurant and they give you the menu. And you are reading that menu and you see something that which you like. Just pick a cuisine. My mind is frozen. Pick a cuisine. Thai. So you see pad kimo. So pad kimo, and then you read it. Does your hunger satiate? What do you have to do? And you guys are so jumping into the result before you can eat it, because you cannot eat the menu. First, you have to call upon the waiter. Give them your specificity. Right, this is my order. And then that fellow takes it in, and the chef inside prepares that for you. And if somebody like me goes and orders, the chef has a tough time. Why? No meat, no egg, no mushroom, no fish sauce, no oyster sauce, no soy sauce. Once the chef came out and said, "What will you eat then? All the flavors that we usually add, you're removing it. What will you eat then?" So you give a specification, and then the chef, according to that specification, makes it, and then it gets delivered. Then also you cannot just jump in and start like, you have to wait for it to cool down at least a little bit. And then from the sides, you start working your way through. And after you're finished through, then there is that sign of satiation. Do you know what is sign of satiation? A big loud burp. The sign of satsanga is omkara. Sign of satiation is called dakara. You burp. Then the satiation occurs. Just by reading the menu, can anybody feel satiation? Similarly, just by reading the first few 8 mantras, saying that, oh yeah, I got it. That Brahman, I got it. The tattva that you're talking about, I got it. You got squat. You didn't understand even a bit. Because these are just words, and words are just pointing at it. There is a lot of processing that has to happen before that tattva can be assimilated and experienced. Dabhramevapi nunam. Tvam vetha brahmano rupam. You knowing that Brahman in its essence is very little or almost nothing. Yadasya deveshu athanu mimamsyam evate manye viditam. Therefore, go back, understanding the pointers that have been given unto you, and meditate upon them intelligently. Meditate as to what is being pointed at, how do I reach there? Sometimes, when say you're planning to come to US and study, right, and your visa gets approved. That day when you get the passport back and you have the stamp of approval there, it almost feels like you have already arrived in US. But then the journey is yet to begin. Isn't it? And people say that when they are getting married, I'm just picking example right off of the crowd here. When people are getting married, and sometimes they complain saying that, Swamiji, it takes a toll, like, getting ready for marriage. I even wonder why people get married twice. If they have to do so much and so much of prep and requirement, then I have a bright, broad smile, ear to ear. In Hindi we say, "Arey abhi to शुरुआत कहाँ हुआ है? It has not even begun." First you have to get married, cut that cake, and then begins the actual story. Do you think it is a Shakespearean kind of a novel wherein he met she, and thus the story comes to a happy ending? Thus they lived happily ever after. That is only in his... The story now begins actually after they get married. Life actually begins there. Similarly, these words that have been given are only mere pointers. That pointers which are taking our mind to a higher standpoint, a higher understanding from where we have to launch into that sadhana. Now, thus, he having warned the student, he continues. And Gurudev, on this warning, I would request all of you to read through the entire commentary, just those 4 lines, and he has about 10 pages worth commentary. And it's very detailed, very beautiful. Please do not forget to read these. Just because we have done with this mantra, saying that, okay, don't need to read it. His explanation is worth every word that he has written. Is that beautiful? Now, moving to the second mantra. Repeat after me. Naham manye suvedeti. No na vedeti vedacha. Yo nastadveda tadveda. No na vedeti vedacha. Whenever in any kind of sequence, when asking about Hinduism or asking about a master's experience of that ultimate final stage, this particular mantra is often quoted. So you would hear, Yonas tadveda tadveda, nona vedeti vedacha. This particular mantra is that often repeated or quoted one. Is that famous? Naham manye suvedeti. So the student goes to the further exploration. What do I mean by further exploration? See, there are a couple of things that I would want to add here as personal warnings. I would like each one of you to be aware of it. That the whole concept of spiritual unfolding and evolution, it's not a complicated process. It is not a complex process at all. It's a simple few-step process. But what it requires in that processing is immense amount of patience. Does anybody have good grip at gardening? And how did you all even grow up to be 20, 24, 25-year-olds? I was going to take it to a further complex process in farming. And not even gardening is introduced. The coconut, the way it becomes a plant, is that coconut first should not be broken because there is no seed inside. If you break the coconut and then search for a seed, we know there is no seed in there. In fact, that end of it where there are those 3 holes, when you open that side of the white part, there is a small little white, yellowish, whitish kind of a very small, tiny one. I don't know if you have ever made an attention or notice to it. And there is a small hole in it. That small white one, with the shell with the fiber on the top of it soaked in water for it to sprout. It takes few weeks. And once that green thing sprouts, then you sow it into the soil. And when does it yield the result? If it is a native kind, it takes not less than 8-9 years for it to bring the first crop of coconut. Nowadays, the hybrid ones, it takes about 3 years, 4 years. They've reduced the amount by half, the waiting period. But nonetheless, it's one of those crops which gives its yield way later. Now, such a coconut, you have thrown it into the water, soaking it into the water. Every day, that end where those 3 holes are from where the plant should sprout, you keep poking at it, remove it from the water, poking at it, checking if the thing is sprouting or not. Do you think it will ever sprout again? What do you need to do? Almost like throw it into the process and let it evolve. And for it to evolve, we need immense amount of patience. Another example that can be taken is, say, something that is, these days we have gotten into so much of instant cooking that we have forgotten how the original is actually made or tastes even. There is one particular Indian milk sweet called rabdi. In South India, they refer to it as basundi. In North India, they call it rabdi. My mouth is already watering. There is no shortcut to it. The only way that somebody can make it is in a medium flame. Put the milk and then sit there for at least 6 to 7 hours. Keep stirring it. There is no shortcut. Every now and then you come and keep stirring, it doesn't work that way. It has to be constantly stirred. If you forget doing it, what will happen? The base of it will burn, and milk, once the base burns, the entire milk will smell bad. So you cannot afford that. I'm giving 2 different kinds of examples. In the first example, you have to let it be, not keep meddling with it. The second example that I'm taking is there is a constant process that is required. You cannot quit. A mixture of both of this is sadhana. That once you set it in motion, that has to be constantly repeated until you reach. So that constant process has to be there. Not to meddle with other kinds of new things that may come into the market. Somebody says, all this which you are putting effort, I will give it to you in 3 days. Recently I saw a pamphlet, a flyer. Moksha in 3 days. I am not joking. And somebody came with that leaflet to me and said, Swamiji, should I go for this? So I looked at it and the first sentence, the bold big ones, moksha in 3 days. So I didn't even go through as to who, what, where, what process, nothing. I said, how much are they charging you for this? I said, 10,000. It's in this resort and it is that, a 5-star facility, 3 days. And then I looked at it, without fuming, I looked at it and next bold letter, next font size, the big one. You don't even have to put effort. Sit in the presence of this Mahatma and you'll be realized. गधों को उल्लू बना रहा है. They're ripping them off. And there are enough desperate people. Desperate, not because they want to find that result. Something that will be short, something that will be easy. So we should understand, anything that seems like easy is not long lasting. Have you not seen in life? Anything that is claimed as easy is not long lasting. So once we set on that direction, we shouldn't be like the impatient kids in the back that you set for a road trip and you have not even passed your city. What is it that they start cribbing from back? Are we there yet? Mommy, are we there yet? Dad, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Sit me here and let you know. Okay. You don't need to be so rude. When the kids here are quite something. I mean, you all, as you grew up, are quite something. 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes after that, they being telling that, you don't need to be so rude. And again, mommy, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Once I was in such a road trip with kids, man, I took a vow unto myself that I have taken to this path to be alone and never ever to take to the path where I have to be with them on a road trip again. My respect for parents just evolved overnight with that experience. How much cribbing that they have to have. Patience, the amount of patience that they have to have with their kids. And back in India, though, I know one solution, one quick fix solution. Chup! One tight and then they're done. Here, though, that also is not possible. It gets onto your nerves. In sadhana, in understanding that supreme tattva, in understanding the source of that eternal happiness, one cannot be impatient. Whatever is that spiritual process that has been initiated, understand that entire process through and through. That whatever enticing later comes up, you are not confused or distracted. Nail it down to a thorough clarity. And once that clarity about the path is set, waver not away from the path. Stick to the course. However challenging or difficult it may appear. Anybody run marathons? No one? Cheh. So when you run a marathon in that 26 miles, I tell you, first 20, 21, even 22 miles is easy. The last 5-6 miles, man, that 5-6 miles is the craziest of it. You will feel like quitting. You will feel like, is it even worth it? Why am I doing that? What am I trying to achieve with it? When you will have dialogues in your head and it will seem like you are going crazy. Is it necessary? Why am I doing this? What am I trying to achieve? Who am I trying to prove this to? All these are constantly counter arguments are happening. And that you have to not lose focus in the direction of that and bear with, and every muscle, every bone will speak of its presence. मैं भी हूं इधर. It'll hurt. Though you are running on your legs, your back will hurt, your shoulders will hurt. Every muscle is throbbing, pining. And you cannot say, I'll take a 15-minute or half an hour break and then start. That's the worst thing that you can ever do. You know what will happen? Your muscles start developing lactic acid. And that which actually causes the soreness in your muscles. Once that develops, the initial momentum and heat is already gone. Lactic acid is up. You will never be able to push yourself back into track. So is with the trekking. And I've been to trekking here. It's a full paved path. All the way through. Swamiji, let's go into nature. Everything is pre-moduled, constructed, railed. It's like you're walking there on the steps and coming down. Oh, it was so good. And such people, when they come to the Kailash Yatra, the second day stretch is when you have to walk about 23 kilometers. And luckily, the toughest part is already done in the beginning. You climb up to 19,600 feet and get down, and there is a slope. It's almost like a vertical drop. And you walk crisscross through that vertical drop, get down. Half of them or most of them are punctured by then. Are we there? हाँ बस पहुंच ही गए. You are almost there. You see that mountain right around that corner. By that first drop, that vertical drop, they have just crossed 6.5 kilometers of the 23 kilometers. So how much more is left? About 19 kilometers, 18.5 kilometers are left. And if I drop that bomb saying 18 more kilometers, they'll never find the spirit too. So instead of giving kilometers, I give them markers. You see that mountain there? Right when it turns, right there. And by the time they reach there, I'm either too far ahead or too back, picking up other people. And they keep waiting there. Swamiji, you said here, where is it? Oh, from there you couldn't see it. You see the next mountain. Having come second day through, you cannot even say that I'll go back. Because right, you are at that midpoint where you cannot even go back. And the only thing that helps is patience, and with that patience, committed to the direction and constantly going through it. No turning back, no giving up, no stopping, moving on forward. That clarity should be established before we start the journey. Otherwise, even before we start, we have already lost our battle. Have I reached across the warning clearly? Do you understand it? Now here, the master is telling the student, no, sorry, the student is coming back to the master and telling him. So the student comes, the teacher doesn't seem to ask anything. So I'm assuming that this is what must have been the interaction. The student comes again. The first time when he came and said, "Oh, I know it," the teacher must have said, "Khak malum hai, ja, jaake sadhana kar, go do sadhana." The student must have got a small face and said, "What? I did so much of research," and he says, "Nothing. Go again." So he goes back, and this time he comes, and there is no dialogue from the teacher. So I'm assuming this must be the way it is. So the teacher must be reading or doing something, and the student walks in, and the teacher just raises his eyebrows. क्या है? Oh, what brings you here? In a very, it's not that he is confused, but the inability to express it in words seems like it is confused. So he says thus, Naham manye suvedeti. I don't know if I have understood it properly. And neither can I say that I have not understood it. And you seem to be more confused than the first time. What is it that you want to say? Have you understood or have you not understood? The student says, it's not like that, that I have a firm grip at what I'm trying to say because I'm not able to put it in words. The inability to explain that experience in words, it makes me feel as if I have not understood it. But I definitely had a profound experience. So I cannot firmly say that I have not understood it either. Naham manye suvedeti, no na vedeti vedacha. But there is definitely some seeming settling, peaceful cognition, that which leaves me complete. I experience that. Isn't it the case with even food as a simple experience? The best kind of that sweet which you love has been given to you, freshly made, not out of the tin. Those rasgullas, gulab jamuns from the tin, they're that soggy, rubbery kind of, they don't even feel like. Freshly made, hot. You can still feel the warmth of it in your hand, in that cup when you hold it. And you take that and you're eating it, and you have not had that sweet in like 2 years. I have not even described what sweet it is, and already each one of you is imagining your own specific one, and this is what I see. Okay, what I'm seeing, like it was a wave of a gulp that I saw. Good that you are on the same page. And you're smelling it, and you take the first bite of it, and you close your eyes, and that is called tanmayatva. You become one with it, and you are like, you're making these sounds, not chewing sounds, the relishing sounds. Somebody comes and says, how is it? Is it even a word? There's no word like that in dictionary. There's an expression. It's almost like a dance expression. There is bhava, there is abhinaya, there is, there's so many components added in there. He said, no, no, no. Explain how you are, whatever you are experiencing, explain it. What do you mean? What do you mean? It is whatever word you choose, doesn't it fall short? And what is the best way for this fun who has come inquiring? It take that and ab pata chala. Now you understood. Right? Until you experience it. So that is what is happening with this student as well. What is he trying to say here? I cannot confidently this time claim that I have understood because I cannot explain it in words. Therefore, I have this hesitation in even claiming that I have understood it. And it is not like I have not experienced it. There was a profound experience. And that which has left me with that contentment, fullness from within, which I am not able to explain, is that what that you have been pointing at? Then the master has a big relief, smiling relief, saying, "Ha beta, now you have reached there." Because once you experience it, truly experience it, you would not be able to put it in words. Any effort to try putting it in words is futile. You can only point at it. You can only give simile of various kinds, but cannot describe it. And just because you cannot describe, you cannot eliminate the experience saying because it is indescribable, it is a hallucination. Or it is a non-existent experience. Or it is a cooked up experience. No, you cannot throw it away that way. It is that profound and it is that substantial an experience that which leaves you speechless. No na vedeti vedacha. Did you understand? All that you have to do is an Indian nod. Oh, yes, no, I don't know, everything combined in it. I'm not doing a dance mudra here. It's yes also, no also. How did this student reach there? That, in his own words, he says it in the third mantra. Repeat after me, but we will see this third mantra next week. Because it is a very deep process that he tries to put it in his words. The experience as to how he walked it all the way up. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na vedasaha avijñātam vijānatām vijñātam avijānatām. If you think that what you heard today was confusing or contradicting, next week it is a notch higher than what you have heard today. What is it? We'll see it next week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.